Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mash and Drum Whiskey Room. I am Jason C. What is up? Everybody, welcome in on this Whiskey Wednesday night. Yes, I am going on a little bit earlier tonight because tonight is the finals of the Matt's Madness over on ADHD Whiskey. Matt is, we have the finals. We have Kyle from Bourbon Blind versus the Grease over at the podcast. So it should be a fun night. That's going to be starting at 10. So I'm going to jump off here at 10 o'clock and, send you guys over there to watch the finals. I'm really curious to see what Matt has in store for both those guys tonight. So should be a really fun night. What's going on, everybody in the chat? Got a bunch of you hanging out early on here. Roy R. Dustings, Cameron Lochner, Adam Houston, Unif Polk, what's up? Hank Williams Jr. is here. Jeffrey Yankovic is back. What's up, buddy? Harley Gaddis is here. What's up, man? James SoCal, inexperienced whiskey new guy. People are very curious about the foolproof. We'll see how it does tonight. It's usually pretty good, but the thing about the Colonel Taylor barrel proofs is they're very consistent usually from year to year. They don't change much like you would on a GTS or even like some of the Elijah Craig barrel proofs. I always find them pretty consistent, but I have a couple that we'll compare to. We'll see how it does. Let's see here. IC86 is in the house. What's up, man? Damian Sanchez, he says EH Taylor barrel proof is my unicorn this season. They're starting to drop, man, Damian. So take a look around. Kelsey Dimes in the house. What's up, Kelsey? Let's see who else is coming in. Whiskey with Two Jerks is here. The Brew Baker Maker. What's up, Ernie? Nice to see you, man. Austin Feltz is in the house. What's up? Hey, Damian Sanchez just became a new member of the Drumline. What's going on, man? Welcome in. John Gresham poured some old Ezra store pick. It is just okay, nothing special. Well, wait till you have ours, buddy. Mikey Likey's here. What's up, Mikey Likey? Let's see here. Who else we got? Dean Andrews is in the house. Abby, who inks, is here. Abby, hope your tattoo convention went good. Whiskey Nose. What's up, Mets fan? What's up, Whiskey Nose? Yankee fan? Darrell Stewart says, just cracked my blue run today. It's pretty darn good. Yeah, that's the other bottle we're going to be, that we're going to be tasting tonight. This is the summer release that was available on Sealbox. I nabbed this for, this is a hefty $250. Let's see if it's worth it. We'll see how it goes. We'll get into the pricing of some of these things a little bit too, that we're seeing recently. Let's see. Hey, Paul Madden's here. What's up, man? Donato San Martino is here. What's up? Beginning Bourbon. What's up, Jason? Can't wait to hear about the EH Taylor. Hey, Curiosity Public's in the house. What is up? How you doing, fellas? He says, what's cracking? Everybody, if you've not subscribed to Curiosity Public, go check them out. Absolutely phenomenal content. Just see what Jules and the boys are doing over there. Very entertaining stuff, guys. We got to collaborate again soon. I got to be on your channel. So Curiosity Public, let me know if you're when you're ready to collab again. But Mike Myers here. Terrence Johns is in the house. Jeffrey Wack is here. Brian Brennicky. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's Dutch in the chat or Jules. I think it's usually Dutch, but Dutch, send me a message and we'll talk later. James SoCal liked the T-shirt. Yep, Old Carter representing. Chris Garza's in the house. What's up, Chris? Nice to see you, man. Yep, let's make it happen, Captain. All right, so in my glass tonight to start off with, I actually poured a little bit of the Blue Note 17, which you guys saw if you guys had watched my review, I was kind of waxing poetic about it. I loved it so much. And I did find out, so I posted on Instagram a photo of it, and I was wondering if this does not follow the Lincoln County process, which is why they could still call it Tennessee bourbon. And lo and behold, Blue Note reached back out and right on the post, nice and transparent, as I love source whiskeys to be. They tell you exactly what it is. So it is George Dickel Tennessee whiskey without the charcoal filtering, without the Lincoln County process that they put it through to give it that minerality that I think everybody knows and kind of scares away from a little bit when it comes to George Dickel Tennessee whiskey. So I think that's why when you have that super high corn content, that. So the George Dickel mash bill, I forgot offhand, it's like 84, 85% corn, very high corn content, good amount of rye too. But I mean, this thing, it's so buttery and so sweet. And this happens to be with that 17-year, just gets so fruity. It's just really a delicious release. It's easily has been one of my top favorite bourbons that I've tried this year, hands down. So cheers, guys. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Ooh. So this is not a budget bourbon night. No, not really. Unfortunately not. We have one kind of budgety bottle we're going to try, and that's the new Pursuit United from the guys over at Pursuit, the Bourbon Pursuit podcast. Kenny and Ryan over there were kind enough to send me their second batch. So the first batch, which I reviewed last year, I really liked. Yeah, is it a little pricey, but you know, source barrels are going up in price more and more every year as bourbon gets more popular. We'll get into that a little later. But so yes, they took another blend of some different whiskeys from a couple of different states, hence United, and brought it together to see. Now Ryan does the blending, so we're going to see how Ryan did with number 2 compared to number 1. So these are usually about, I think it was about $50 for the bottle, but solid blends. I mean, you could put it right up there with Penelope and some other, you know, blends that people are doing these days. You know, even, I don't know if I'd put it, well, maybe like the Smoke Wagon small batch where they're doing a lot of, they're just using pure MGP. Pursuit United, they're using different mash bills from, I think, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana to make that blend. So, but we'll get into the details of it. Let's see. Hey, Robot Scott's in the house. Nice to see you. Brian Toner's here. What's up, man? It takes 17 years to kill Fred Flintstone. Well, that's the thing. Fred Flintstone never even touched this. Fred Flintstone didn't get near it. This is all just, it actually comes off a little bit. It's got some like light whiskey notes a little bit on the nose because of that high corn content and the age on it. But I mean, the palate is just all, oh, it's just all butter pecan ice cream and just a ton of dark fruits. I mean, blueberries. Blueberries for Blue Note. That actually kind of makes sense. Blueberries, raspberries, you know, pick a dark fruit. I would imagine that whoever tastes that bourbon, different palates will pick up different types of dark fruits, but it is very dark, fruity, and rich. Great bourbon. Kelsey Dime making a prediction. I think the Blue Run will blow away the E.H. Taylor. Them's fighting words. We'll see. Drumline Butter, says Justin Jonas. Beginning bourbon, Blue Drum, better for the price. Yeah, butter pecan. Yeah, chocolate deluxe. A lot of chocolate notes in here as well, too. And this is only a 95 proofer, 94.8 to be exact. But for a 95 proofer, it drinks nice. So before we get into the tasting, let's go through a couple of different, I'm going to be sipping on this. Let's go through a couple of news stories. Then we're going to get into my reaction to Pappygate, which was the new docuseries that Netflix had put on. You know, it was kind of like a mini 2-episode docuseries within Heist, which is a documentary-based series based on Netflix. So I watched it last week. I had very mixed emotions about it, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So, hey, Donald Rancis here. What's up, guys? Let's see here. We have first one up is for those of you guys that like Whistle Pig. You guys know I'm not a big fan of Whistle Pig, but here we go anyway. The Whistle Pig Road Stock Rye Whiskey. So following the releases of Farm Stock Rye and Bourbon, this is going to be rolling out this month. It was created in collaboration with Jordan Winery and Firestone Walker Brewery. So beginning earlier this year at Whistle Pig's 500-acre farm in Vermont, this is where Whistle Pig commissioned an 18-wheeler rolling rickhouse, which would make its way on a 6,000-mile barrel finishing journey. So what they did is in the spirit of innovation, we decided to literally drag them from Vermont to California and back. knowing that the shake, rattle, and roll of a cross-country road trip would ensure an incredible finish that could not be achieved in any other way. The individual wine and beer finishes are fantastic on their own, but the final finish is pure gold. So, so the road stock rolling rickhouse was finished. Half of the future rye whiskey was transferred into Bordeaux blend casks from Jordan Winery. The whiskey would then make the full 6,000-mile road trip in order to absorb the cask flavors and aromas. So, I mean, we've seen this before in different ways. We've seen this with Jefferson's Ocean, you know, putting the barrels on the ship and shipping them around the ocean and passing over the equator and stopping at different ports for a good time. And then, you know, so the waves and the slosh and the bumps and, you know, would you know, agitate it more within the barrel to give it some more flavor. So now we're looking at the same thing here a little bit, you know, putting it on a truck and going from Vermont all the way to California in the back to get some more flavor. If there's, let me guess, $1,000. Yeah, I wonder if they got that from Nancy Fraley. Yeah, so I mean, the thing is that like you have, let me see here. See what they're going to be $73.99 per bottle, so $73, but only 86 proof. So 86 proof, 75-ish bucks. I mean, you know, for that amount of money, I feel like at 86 proof, I mean, 86 proof, I mean, just freaking kill it. So this just speaks to me as another Whistle Pig money grab. Let's give it the craziest story we can do. Let's put it on a truck. Let's send it around the country. Let's bring it back. It's in a wine cask. It's a rye whiskey. We'll sell it. We'll get as many bottles as we can because we're going to lower it to 86 proof, and then we're going to sell it for $75. So, again, this is one of the big reasons why I kind of have an issue with Whistle Pig. I think some of their expressions are really nice, but I just think they do too much of this and charge a premium for watered down whiskey. So I just doesn't, yeah, a story is only so good, better be good. The hooch better be good. I agree. I think all that movement definitely affects of how much that barrel charts in the whiskey. The barrel alone doesn't need to be sloshing across the country. I think so too. I mean, I do think there is something to be said about movement and some kind of, you know, sloshing the barrel around, bumps to get some more flavor in it. But at the end of the day, for like the educated consumer, it just seems it comes off as very gimmicky. All right, let's go to the next one, guys. And this is a brand new bourbon coming out called, I think it's pronounced Epoch. I think it's Epoch. This is Baltimore Spirits. So Baltimore Spirits Company announces the release of a new bourbon. So they released the latest entry into its Epoch lineup with their straight bourbon, scheduled for official release on July 17th at noon. So it just released over the weekend. This is their first bourbon and will become a regular part of the product line. They like to tweak the rules a little bit. Bourbon is typically made with malted barley, but the Baltimore Spirits Company went with a wheated bourbon using malted rye, the same one used in the Epoch rye whiskey. So it will eventually become a regular offering. This goes on sale for $50. It's 100 proof, so it's kind of nice to see that you have an interesting mash bill here. You got a wheated bourbon. You got some malted rye in there to go along with the corn. 100 proof, which is a nice proof point. $50, typical price point we see from craft whiskey producers or, you know, smaller whiskey producers. I don't think craft. I'm trying to get out of the habit of using the word craft because I think, you know, craft is not everything's craft. Everybody makes whiskey. You know, it is a craft to make, you know, bourbon and whiskey in general. So let's just say smaller distilleries. So it's pronounced differ. Differ. Yeah, I always mess that up. Some billionaire will fly a barrel into space at some point for 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm sure that will happen. Well, I think Ardbeg did something like that. They shot it into space. Yikes, bottle reminds me of the elevator scene from The Shining. That's a good call. Absolutely. All right, one last quick story. We have a new offering from Wyoming Whiskey, the Thunder Basin. So this one is it's hit the shelves. This release pays tribute to the grasslands in the eastern part of Wyoming. Thunder Basin is the 5th installment in the Wyoming exclusive series that includes Eclipse, Steamboat, Statesman, and Hole in the Wall. It is made from a combination of 12 barrels selected from the middle of the warehouse. The bourbon has an age statement of 7 years and is bottled at 96 proof. Unfortunately, that's a Wyoming exclusive, but Wyoming does actually make some really great whiskeys. I haven't, unfortunately, tried enough of them. They're not available here. I think just the regular Wyoming whiskey is available here. I actually haven't seen it in a while, so I'm not even sure if it's still available around here. But yeah, Bezos bourbon, Spaceflight bourbon, that could be a thing. Thunder Basin kicks ass, says Jeff Lawrence. Got to taste it in Kirby at the distillery recently. It sounds good. It's got a nice age statement on it, 7-year-old. I think they use a wheated mash bill as well. So wheated mash bill in Wyoming. Huge fan of Wyoming whiskey. I called them out a long time ago. It's like kind of one of those up-and-coming distilleries, people to keep an eye on. And they have not really disappointed me at all. BS whiskey, Beyond Stratosphere. True. All right. So real quick, I do want to mention a couple of live streams going on in the next, God, tomorrow's going to be a busy day for me. I'm going to be, if you're not sick of me already, you'll definitely get sick of me by tomorrow. So tomorrow, so Aquavite over, Roy over at Aquavite, he's kind of on vacation for the summer, so he doesn't do his V-pubs. So Shayla over at Whiskey Central has been taking over for the summer, and I'm going to get to be her guest tomorrow. So tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be talking. She sent me a beautiful Scotch flight to do, so you guys could tune into that. I think it's about 4:30, 4:45, I think Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, 4:45 Eastern Standard Time. So you guys could check that out. Also tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. Well, actually after that at 8 o'clock over on my Bourbon Journeys channel, the Mash Journey is going to be picking one of its last pick of the year. We're going to be picking a Driftless Glen bourbon and rye. This is an amazing craft distillery out of Wisconsin. So we're going to get to choose both a rye and a bourbon from Driftless Glen. So we're really excited to bring that to the portfolio for the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club. So we're really excited about that. That's 8 p.m. live on Scott's channel. So for all you guys that are members of Patreon and part of the Whiskey Club, you will have access to those as soon as they're ready. And then following that, at 10 o'clock, I'll be on with Scotch for Dummies, exploring the terroir of bourbon. I've sent them a bunch of different bourbons from around the country for them to try. As Scotch guys, they're getting into bourbon, and I've been kind of helping them along that path as they get to learn more and more about it and all the different offerings. Because if you're coming into the bourbon game now and you go to a store and you look at the shelves, you have no idea what the hell to look at. There's so much shit, right? So they're experiencing that, so I'm kind of helping them out a little bit with kind of, guiding them down that path and that journey. So it'll be a lot of fun tomorrow. It'll be a lot of whiskey tubing, but if you have a chance to tune into any of those, I'll be busy. So Nate Elkington, your set is great, Jason. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that, Nate. Agrees with the big. Oh yeah. So tonight, following this at 10 o'clock, you guys got to tune in to, here we go, Grease versus Kyle. Matt Madness, the finals, last call. The Grease over at the podcast versus Kyle at Bourbon Blind. Let me know in the chat. Who do you guys got tonight? Who's taking it? Kyle or the Grease? Let's see. Enjoy watching your videos. Sipping on me some Yellowstone OHLQ Select. Oh, awesome. DM Doom 3. Thanks for coming in. Nick Kentros excited for the team up with Scotch for Dummies. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. You might burn out before we do. Yeah, no joke, C. Merritt. Absolutely. Team Grease, Kyle, Dean Andrews, have you had the Westland Gariana? Yes, I have. I absolutely love that stuff. Speaking of Westland, the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club is actually going to be doing a Westland American single malt pick, probably in the next few weeks. So we're really excited to do that one. We have 4 crazy finishes to choose from. The Whiskey Crusaders are going to be helping us pick that. So that's going to be a thing. So we're really excited for that one. Let's go. Kyle says move to move. Team Kyle. Grease is going to win despite my best wishes. Grease is the word. So it looks like it's pretty even here. I got a lot of Team Kyle, a lot of Team Greasy. Ultimate Savant slang tonight, says Dean Andrews. I think that's a vote for Grease. Greasehole. Lucky B with that E.H. Taylor barrel proof. Got to try it in Kentucky, says Kenneth Rathburn. Yep. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pour well, actually, let's start with the Bourbon Pursuit. We'll start, actually, what's the lower proof here? Yeah, the Bourbon Pursuit United. So let's start with this one first. And while we're sipping through this, let's talk a little bit about Pappygate. So if you're a bourbon fan, I'm sure you guys have heard about the story of Pappygate, the infamous story of stealing thousands of dollars worth of Pappy Van Winkle bourbon from Buffalo Trace. And it turns out also Wild Turkey. It went down in 2013. It became national news, newspapers, morning shows. It kind of had this old school Al Capone, George Remus, bootlegger feel going on, which got the whole nation, really interested in it. All right, let's pour batch 2 here. The Mash and Drum. The big question for tonight: How many times will Matt mute Grease? Oh, that's actually that's a good point. Because Grease is gonna beg, lie, cheat, and steal to get that championship. So we'll see what happens. So he might have to mute him a little bit. So let me fix that. So after the whole story broke, there was arrest, there was insanity, with people chasing Pappy Van Winkle. It's been kind of bourbon legend, and ever since, and Netflix's that docuseries Heist. The first episode was titled The Bourbon King. And I got to be honest, it kind of disappointed me. And not because I thought the actual documentary was bad. I thought it was very well shot, filmed. I do feel like there was a lot of gratuitous, bottle, like very, very beautiful bottle shots of Buffalo Trace products. I felt like I was watching Transformers with all the freaking sponsor shots everywhere. My goodness. I mean, they had all these beautiful shots of all the Buffalo Trace bottles. Like if they needed help enough for people to chase these things. And I was ready to hear about this criminal mastermind syndicate, taking over and planning this out, and that pulled this off. And that was far from what it was. If you guys had watched it. Let's see here. Aaron C. I just remember living in Kentucky at the time. The first person arrested was a middle school vice principal. He ended up not being connected to anything. Well, that was the thing. There was a lot of arrests. The sheriff at the time was a huge media hound. He made a lot of mistakes along the way. He wanted to get as much exposure as possible. I'm sure they made a lot of arrests, and it seemed like they really didn't have any leads at all when they were trying to figure this all out until somebody tipped them off, until somebody finally spoke up. Hey, Joseph Brazzers is here. Let's see. It was definitely paid for by Sazerac. Yeah, absolutely, Aaron. It totally seemed that way. Although I feel like, I felt like it put the distilleries in a bad light. Because you hear about all this going on, and well, first off, so the short story of it all is a Buffalo Trace employee named Gilbert Toby Kurtzinger basically took advantage of bad security and inventory management back, I think as early as 2007, 2008. He was swiping bottles, cases of whiskey. He sold the bottles to friends, lawyers, politicians, doctors, and a bunch of to-dos throughout Kentucky. Then he got his friends involved. It was literally a middle-aged men's softball league. These were his friends that wanted to get in on this. And I feel like when you try to do a ring like that, the more guys you get involved, the more apt you are to maybe get caught. because somebody's going to talk. Just Joseph Braze, it was a cross between Unsolved Mysteries and Tiger King. Pappygate sucked. Pappygate probably just made Weller 12 go up by $30. Thanks, Netflix. Yeah, probably. I got really tired of hearing how well everybody else was taking, about how well everyone else was taking stuff too. Yeah, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way as well. But basically these guys, so this guy, Toby, he started, he had he was on the softball team and he had his group of buddies and they were all taking steroids because they saw themselves as athletes playing. Now, listen, I played a ton of baseball growing up. I played all the way up until right before college when I busted my shoulder. I played in a bunch of softball leagues after that, men's leagues, co-ed leagues. I played for years in New York and Queens, Long Island, all over New York. And never at any point did I feel like I had to take steroids to enhance my softball performance. I mean, now look, I realize that some of these softball leagues get really intense and some of them get sponsored, some of them get money to perform well, and I get that. But when these guys, a bunch of middle-aged dudes just being like, when you're an athlete, you got to do what you got to do to stay competitive. So these guys were just pumping themselves full of steroids. They got, they get their chest puffed out. And I think one of my favorite lines of the film is, you just keep puffing your chest out until someone punches you in the face. And that's basically what happened. Yeah, male softball. Well, basically, that's what these guys were doing. And, as he was stealing, so basically, I have my notes here. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So Buffalo Trace and Wild Turkey finally noticed in 2013 when someone, they noticed that Pappy was missing. Buffalo Trace noticed, and then the police got involved. So it's really totally told. The entire movie is told through Toby Kurtzinger's perspective. The thing that bothered me about it is not only the gratuitous Buffalo Trace bottle shots, which I'm sure helped secondary, like you guys just mentioned, but also he expected us to have like a sympathy figure to him. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. The guys, the whole ring were getting off on, he's like, I just wanted to help get bottles for my buddies, and I felt good about it. It wasn't really about the money. Bullshit. Yeah, it was totally about the money. And the family totally acted like they didn't know what was going on. I think that was bullshit. The guy got out of jail after serving. I think he got served. He got a pretty long sentence, and he got out after 5 months. It was crazy. They haven't heard of barcodes. Yeah, and that's what I meant by it really kind of put the distilleries in a bad light. Both I love Wild Turkey, but Wild Turkey and Buffalo Trace, for these guys not to notice that all this shit was missing after so long for years. That's terrible. And I think that's a big reason why no representative from either distillery, showed up on the documentary to be interviewed. Will Barrett says, tried Blue Run on your recommendation, have been chasing it since. Great bourbon. Looking forward to your feedback on the BR14. Thanks, Will. So it really just kind of was like they did this basically. It was just pure based on vanity. And, the good old boy club just kind of taking over and selling bourbon and making a killing on it and nobody being able to talk. I wanted to help people get things and it made me feel good, just like steroids did. And just so they finally raided the dude's house. They were found with steroids and guns and all sorts of stuff, all the stacks of cash. They found some Wild Turkey barrels just sitting in the backyard when someone tipped them off. I really was hoping for when growing up in an Italian household, you're used to the mob movies and the organized crime. This was just a bunch of dudes playing softball hopped up on Viagra, stealing bottles straight out of the distillery. And they finally get caught. And there's these slow motion shots of them flexing and pumping iron and playing softball, and it was all done in like slow motion. And I couldn't decide if the director was making fun of them or like he was trying to do some kind of artistic, some like artistic cinematography during it. It was, I don't know, it was a little strange. All in all, it was still an interesting documentary. But if you watch it, definitely take note of the Buffalo Trace bottles that they show and how beautiful they make them look. I mean, they were stealing Eagle Rare 10, which I don't understand, because at that time, I'm sure Eagle Rare 10 was even more available than it is right now, for sure. Todd Ritter, like I said, he asked me prices all the time when he would come into the liquor store I worked at. Playing dumb doesn't fly. Yeah, Todd Ritter actually played softball with him, a man in Kentucky, so he knew him a little bit. And yeah, he tries to be a sympathetic figure at the end. He kind of tears up, but I think honestly, it was kind of all bullshit. So he was still married, he was still employed when he came out of prison. He's rather than sitting and serving the 15 years he was sentenced, he got out very early. I think he only served a few months. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, all this done by a softball league for middle-aged men that were on steroids and wanted to get things for their friends. I mean, I don't know. I wanted so much more of it from it, but I was not sympathetic to Kurt Singer, who, did all this for sure. So check it out. It's definitely a good watch, but just keep in mind some of the things that are going on when you're watching it. So, all right, let's get to some whiskey here, guys. I'm going to shut up. So Pursuit United. So like I said, this comes from the Bourbon Pursuit guys. Great podcast. You guys have not listened to it. Kilco says, I was not happy seeing them implying that Eagle Rare 10 is a stuff for stealing. The last thing I need is to have a favorite of mine. Yeah, I thought the same thing, Kilco. Everyone go check out Kilco, another great channel. I don't understand. Yeah, they paid him to be in this. You know that. And the sheriff. I mean, oh, yeah. I mean, to be in the documentary for sure. So, but that's why nobody from the distilleries were in there. I think, like I said, it put him in a bad light. So Pursuit United makes a second debut with larger release. So this is going to go a little bit farther in the footprint for this release, unlike the first one, which was a little bit more limited. So this is a Pursuit blend of 3 mash bills from 3 different distilleries in 3 different states. Small batch blend, 108 proof, non-chill filtered. Let's see here. The blend consists of barrels from Bardstown Bourbon Company, Finger Lakes Distilling in New York, and an undisclosed distillery in Tennessee that is not located in Tullahoma. So that means there is no George Dickel whiskey in this blend. So let's compare them and see if they're any different, the blends. Robert Pettigrew says that guy got screwed. It seems like they illegally searched his property. I think if he had a better lawyer, he wouldn't have served any time. I mean, the guy barely served any time as it is. So, and like we said, the sheriff that was on that was Sheriff Melton. I mean, he really came out looking bad too in this because he just didn't have any leads. He didn't really have anything on anyone until somebody made a call. So, and he promised everybody that he would find this guy. So, but then he didn't get reelected the following year, which was pretty funny. All right, so comparing 1 and 2 here. Well, 1 actually, I'm actually liking the nose a little bit more. It's just coming off a little bit more rich, a little bit more richer, a lot more like deep rich caramels, orange, a lot of citrus in this. Number 2 is actually going a little bit more by the way of like vanilla cookie, which is kind of delicious. Yeah, it's like a vanilla cookie with orange zest on it. A lot of citrus here. Yeah, Tater's going crazy hunting now. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. The Wild Turkey driver got them busted, too, for complaining about the back roads not being plowed to his dad's. You need to drive down while in the Wild Turkey delivery truck. Yeah, he was a thief, a BSer, and I had no sympathy for that guy. Yeah, I got to say, one is coming off a little bit richer on the nose. All right, let's taste the new one. Getting a lot of cocoa on that. That's nice. A lot of cocoa. Oh, actually says cocoa on it. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it tastes a lot darker than it does on the nose. The nose, I'm getting a lot of bright notes, but the palate is a lot darker than the nose would indicate, which is nice. Jamie, I can get Eagle Rare for 27. I used to love it. To me, does not have the staying power of other everyday sippers like 101 and Old Forester Signature. ER is just meh. Noted. Heather Keller, thank you so much for the super chat, sweetie. But supposedly the guy who did steal all the 129 bottles of Pappy ended up with the immunity and not serving a day. Yeah. So there's a lot of little, you guys got to pay attention to like the very end of it. It kind of tells you what happened to each guy. It's interesting. And someone has to tell that crook's son when he whines, he's not a criminal. Yes, he is. I agree. I agree. All right, let's try number one. Wow, so whereas number one, blend, so Pursuit United number one is an absolute orange candy bomb to me. Absolute orange candy bomb. A lot of citrus. I think I'm picking up, man, apple and orange. A little bit of floral to it. Touch of that cocoa. Number two, though. Number two is bringing more caramel, a little bit of barrel char, and some cocoa, like some nice rich chocolate notes. But you don't really get it too much in the nose here. Comes through in the nose a little bit, but I'm getting more of like a nice, like sweet cookie on the nose. Yeah, a little bit of honey too. That's nice. I don't know which one I like better, to be honest. If you don't like darker, like caramel and chocolate, I mean, are great combinations. I think that's what you get in Pursuit United number two. Whereas number one really goes on more like the creamsicle, orange candy, apple side. So they're both really good. If you guys enjoyed number one, and you really like what Kenny and Ryan are doing over there at Bourbon Pursuit, I think number two is a nice contrast. It's a little bit sweeter on the nose and it comes off on the palate, but the palate has a lot of cocoa. Like I said, some honey there, nice rich caramel, a little bit of barrel char. Not really sure which one I like more. They're both really good blends. Yeah, there's no youthful notes at all. Getting a little bit of a caramel apple now, I think, to go with the cocoa on this one too. Really nice proof, well balanced, good mouthfeel, 108 proof. I think I think as they keep doing this, though, I think Ryan's just going to get better and better in blending these. Whereas this one, I think more tasted like something that might have some youth to it, especially with those bright orangey apple notes. Two is coming off of like there's some more age here, and maybe there is. I'm not really sure what the ages are of the barrels are putting in, but there's a little bit more richer flavors on the palate, whereas the nose, though, on number one is a little bit more interesting than it is on two. So interesting compare and contrast. I like that. Number Pursuit United, I think, should be available in, let's see, I think Kentucky. I know it's available on Sealbox when they release it. So sealbox.com, of course. Colorado, Georgia, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Texas. So those are your states of location to get one of these. Yeah, really good. Let's see here. What's the price on this? They list the price. I think the last time it was like $50, so I would think about $50. I'm sorry, $65. This small batch bourbon will be available in limited quantities. MSRP of $65. Okay, $65 for the Pursuit United. What's up, Big Vic? Let's see. Let's see here. All right. Cheers. Oh, you didn't miss too much. All right. So, yeah, it's getting more floral as it opens up here. All right. Let's go to the Blue Run. So the Blue Run is next here. So 14 years old. So Blue Run, 113 proof. This was the summer release, available on Seal Box. So let me pour that in here. Nice dark color. Let's see. Total Wine did a pre-order for the new Foursquare 2009 for $90 when it comes out soon. All right, there you go. Can't wait for that Foursquare. Dude, I love Foursquare. I wish it was available here, though. It's not available here in Ohio. We got to get it online somewhere. All right, let's let that open up a little bit. I think I have some. Okay. So, again, $250 for this, guys. So at $250, Blue Run 14, Blue Run in general is kind of this part of this growing number of bourbons that are kind of, breaking traditional pricing and going higher and higher, especially with the bourbon boom in the past, last 10, 15 years, whatever it may be. We've seen prices slowly increase, the secondary market, but the secondary market has showed everybody that really doesn't matter what it's priced at, and bourbon fans are willing to pay for, maybe underpriced and or, rare bourbons. So, I mean, Blue Run, Kentucky Owl, Cream of Kentucky, Old William Tar, even, Old Carter I'd put in there. More brands, they're selling like crazy with, three-figure pricing. But even though brands like, Rare Breed, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, Knob Creek Single Barrel, Old Forester 1920, are cheaper and even sometimes can be better than some of these higher priced bottles. It just seems like, we still buy these all the time. Hey, the Bourbon Wrench is in the house. What's up? From now on, you will call me Betty. What's up, fellas? What's in the glass? We got some Blue Run 14 year coming in, man. Still super bummed. 7 minutes after Blue Run 14 went live and it was gone. Yeah, it sold out fast. It really did. And what was the difference between the Seal Box Reserve version of Blue Run 14 versus the regular version? I think it was just a summer small batch. I think the batches are just different, honestly. Just different barrels that Jim Rutledge is batching together for these. So, I mean, another thing to keep in mind, though, with these sourced bourbon brands, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating to me as well because we have to pay more, but sourced barrels are going up in price, across the board. So these guys have to buy higher priced barrels. So, barrel prices keep going up, which plays a big part in these, and it obviously goes forward to the consumer, to us, because we can't get stuff that's a special release, it seems, for under $200 anymore. But in today's bourbon boom, it just seems not to matter to customers at all. I mean, I bought this because I was curious about it. So Jim Rutledge is the blender here. One of the biggest names in whiskey. He brought Four Roses back to its glory. He launched Cream of Kentucky. I think he helped over at Castle and Key. And now he's got Blue Run that he's doing. So, Durrell said, I read something from Blue Run. The Seal Box version was a bolder expression, more spice and such. Okay. The cost of lumber has skyrocketed this year. One of the costs for barrels will see that inflation and then pass on to bourbon prices. I don't know. I mean, that could be part of it. Okay, so let's try this, guys. Here we go. Sorry, guys, just taking this one in a little bit. It's got a really nice note so far from what I'm picking up here. Getting like a nice, like a spiced gingerbread. Some more of that candied orange. I can't figure out how Jim Rutledge can taste anything with all those Marlboro Lights. Yeah. Just a ton of you know, your usual vanillas and caramels here. But I mean, the gingerbread note is what's really kind of holding me here. A little bit of molasses too. It is. It does. There's a floral quality to it. I'm trying to see if I can pick up like a banana note, because I don't know if they're still sourcing from Barton. I think they are, but I'm not really picking up much of a banana note here. Yeah, a little bit of chocolate, caramel apple. Yeah, ginger. There's a slight like nuttiness to it. I mean, it's all over the place. Some dark fruits in there too, I think. It's a beautiful nose. It's all over the place. There's a lot going on there. All right, let's try it. Here we go. Oh, I got a lot of maple syrup on that. A lot of maple syrup. Got like this like pancake maple syrup note on this one. Man, not as rich on the palate as I thought. Let me see if I go another sip here. It's got a ton of almond, big almond and butter punch here right on the back end, like candied almonds, cinnamon. So a lot going on in this bourbon. It's very layered, a lot of flavors here. I'll tell you this though, it's not blowing me away, especially for $250. Yeah, it is a pretty bottle here. I'll get a little close up here on the bottle. Zoom in there. There you go. It is a pretty bottle. Aged 14 years. The bottle design is designed by I forgot his name. He's a designer for Nike. So sipping on some syrup. It's got this nice combination of like maple syrup, molasses, gingerbread thing going on, which I really like. It's very vanilla. It's also, yeah, it's coming off very floral too. Another sip. This drink's really easy for 113 proof. It's also a little drying. It's drying my palate out a little bit, which I don't really like too much. Question is Weller Special Reserve a younger Pappy? We're trying to find out the truth. Well, supposedly it's the same mash bill. Whatever their mash bill they're using, because you know when the Pappy Van Winkle got brought over to Buffalo Trace to be distilled there, you know, they went with their wheated mash bill. So it's really the difference with Pappy Van Winkle is where they put their where they're aging it. So that's really kind of the difference between Weller and Pappy is where they're aging those barrels. But supposedly it's the same mash bill. But Buffalo Trace has never been really forthcoming with their mash bills overall. Hey, Jason, George Dickel, 13-year, just landed here in Minnesota. Is it worth the $50 price tag? I haven't tried the new one. I really love the 11-year. the first year that they brought out the bottle and bond, which is a 13 year as well. That one was all sorts of oaky dickel vitamin. So if you like that profile, then it might be worth a go. But if you're scared of it, then probably stay away from that one. I like the 11 year a lot more. It was a little bit more of a traditional, almost like more of on a bourbon profile, not so much a Tennessee whiskey, or like that George Dickel minerality. What would you get, Blue Run or Four Gates at the Mash and Drum? I think Four Gates overall, because Four Gates at least you're getting a little bit something different. This is a beautiful blend. Based on your review, I'll take the Four Gate over Blue Run any day. Yeah. No, it's not Tinker Hatfield, Emily. Can you imagine? It'd be pretty cool. Yeah, the 13 is completely different tasting. So this is really good. There's some really rich characteristics, some layered flavors here. It's an easy sipper. There's nothing wrong with this. I just don't like that I paid $250 for this. Honestly. There's nothing about it that's standing out to the point where I would say, holy shit, this is definitely worth $250. This stood out way more, and I paid, this was $175 retail, and it's way more interesting than what I'm getting here so far. It's light, it's fruity. There's some more like bright fruit notes coming in here. I just can't. I do like the candied almond note I get at the very end of this, and the molasses like ginger snap, like cookie note that I get in here too. There's some fruit notes in here as well. Like I said, it's extremely layered. It's very well blended. Obviously, Jim Rutledge knows what he's doing. But I mean, I'm just not getting like a huge flavor punch to be like, holy shit, like this is a $250 bourbon. To me, it's not. Starting to get a little bit of a coconut as well now. The more this opens up, I mean, this could evolve a lot, especially with depending on what's in here. We could start getting some crazy notes. I'm starting to get a toasted coconut note. Maybe that's like the almond note I was getting here on the back end. Yeah. Hey, Young Pei Chang, what's going on, man? Stag Junior Batch 16 supposedly has started dropping already. I know a couple of people that have found one. I'm not sure how it is or when a lot of us will see it. Yeah, 200 is the new 75. Totally agree. Darrell Stewart, mine got better with time in the glass, but would agree I paid less for some bottles I enjoy more. The Blue Run is really good. Just $250 is tough. That's probably the perfect way I would describe it. It's really good. If you pay the $250, it's not like you'll be disappointed because you're getting a damn good bourbon. The problem is that there's better bourbons for cheaper. Including even that. I mean, you can get an Old Carter for $200 at retail, and I feel like those have more punch and more interesting notes than this one does. But I don't know. Yeah, there's just nothing about it that. Yeah. That sucks. It's a decent bourbon. It's just not, it's. If I had to put a number on this, what I would pay for this bourbon. So, what I would like to see this priced at. 14 years old, 113 proof, blended by Jim Rutledge. I don't give a shit. I'm not even talking about the design, the Nike bottle design. I know that's part of the price, but I'm not drinking the bottle, so I don't give a shit about that. I care about what's in the bottle. So if I'm going to pay for this one, I think this should be in that 130 to 140 range. I think that'd be a great price for this. I mean, you got Sam Houston, 15. You got, the Calumet, 14s, 15s of the world, all also Source Barton. You could get those for what, 140, 150, 160 maybe the most. and this is all the way at 250. I mean, what's the rationale there? Why am I paying so much more for this when I could get those? It's something we're seeing a lot across the bourbon landscape. Different sourced companies are charging more for their stuff rather than someone else. I mean, you guys have heard me go off, on the 15-year Jim Beam, the 78.5% mystery mash bill that was all over the place last year. It was in Bardstown Discovery. It was a Chicken Cock release. It was Whiskey Drummer and 15 other brands, Hunt and Gather, all had it. All were sourcing the same stuff. And it was all different prices across the board. I think Chicken Cock had it the most expensive, like $250. I think Whiskey Drummer was up there in that $200, $215 range as well. Hunt and Gather had it for like $120, $130. So why am I paying more somewhere else when I could just get it somewhere, over here for cheaper? So I think that's the problem that Blue Run runs into. I'm hoping maybe as more of this comes out, maybe it gets a little bit cheaper. But right now, this is not worth a $250 price tag. I don't care what anyone says. So a little bit disappointed on that one. Hey, what's up, Hundo? Yes, it's the solid gold butterfly. And, maybe they're counting on when you're done with the bottle, you could take this off and make like a medallion out of it. It'd be nice, right? Little medallion. Yeah, and the Cream of Kentucky. So that's the other thing. Cream of Kentucky, who was made by Jim Rutledge, blends the same shit. Source Barton, nice small batch. They do have single barrels. And you can get those for like $140, $150. So I really feel like for that, you're paying for the bottle. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for the pretty gold butterfly, the fact that it was designed by a Nike dude, and that's what you're paying for. But I don't think the juice inside is worth $250. I think what you're paying for is the names behind it and the bottle that it's in. And yeah, that does sell in today's market, unfortunately. To the uneducated buyer, that's going to sell. Look at, I hate to keep harping on it, but look at Bland's. It's the prettiest damn bottle in the land. And it doesn't matter what anyone says, people want it because of that bottle. So packaging does play a huge part in bourbon sales. And I think Blue Run has done that, but they've also added it onto the price. Jerry Black's a new member. What's up, Jerry? Let's see. The bottle isn't even unique. There's a rum that uses it too. There you go. Let's see here. What do you guys are saying? I haven't found a bottle I'm going to throw $250 down to buy, says Jeffrey Noller. Yep. Just don't do it. I dream of more Match and Journey Russell's picks. I already killed my bottle 13 year, and it was a solid turkey, but this Warehouse G pick beats the other two Gs. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Young Pei Chang. I'm glad you're liking that one. All right. So let's get to the star of the show tonight, guys. Let's get to the Colonel Taylor Barrel Proof. This is the 2021 bottling, and it comes in at a lovely 127.3 proof. There we go. Now, I have not tasted this yet, so I'm excited to taste this shit. This ends up being one of my top bourbons every year, if I could find it. It's definitely up there. Oh, man. I'm getting a nice little close-up of the bottle here. This is the barrel proof. Focus up. There it is, looking lovely. Mr. Colonel Taylor himself saying hello. Hey, Whiskey Mountains is in the house. There we go. Okay, what else do we got here going on the chat? Look at Sweeten's Damn Cove. Oh yeah, Sweeten's Cove is another great example of a bourbon at that $250 mark. And it's George Dickel whiskey. George Dickel whiskey. And from what I understand, that does have the Lincoln County process in it. And they're charging you $250 for it. And I can get this. I got this beautiful George Dickel 17. It says 15, but it's a 17-year-old pick for $70. Come on, Sweetens Cove. So for that, you're paying for all the names behind it. Again, Peyton Manning, the tennis star, Marianne Eaves blending it. I mean, it's all of that doesn't make it worth more than what we can get it for in other places. I'm sorry. It's a pretty bottle, and people want it on their shelf, but you'll never convince me that it's worth that type of money. Okay. Compared to E.H. Taylor, oh yeah, we'll definitely do. We'll do a little comparison to Stag Jr. for sure. Joseph Brazo just scored an EHC Battle Proof 130.3 in a sleepy little mountain town. $300. Wow. Who's the tennis star involved too? Let me look it up real quick here. Sweetens Cove. Let's see here. So it's Andy Roddick, retired tennis star Andy Roddick. So it's a partnership with Peyton Manning, his brothers Eli and Cooper Manning, retired tennis star Andy Roddick, musician Drew Holcomb, and real estate developer Mark Rivers are all investors. So there's a lot of money behind it. Marianne Eaves does the blending. So you got a good name in the industry blending it, but it doesn't matter. It's still just fucking aged Dickel that's blended. And Dickel is everywhere, and everybody's freaking blends, and everyone's using it, and for cheap. So oh yeah, that is all Buffalo Trace, baby. So this is coming off. The biggest notes I always get in Colonel Taylor Barrel Proofs is apple and cinnamon. Let's see if we get it here too. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that apple, like an apple fritter type nose. There's like a fried sweet dough, powdered sugar thing going on. Yeah, the golf course Sweetens Cove is supposed to be really nice, but yeah, I mean, fried pastry dough, brown powdered sugar, not brown sugar. There is a little brown sugar in here, but getting like powdered sugar. Very Buffalo Trace, very sweet. Little hint of cherry that you would expect from a Buffalo Trace product. Yeah, if you guys haven't yet, please hit the like button. Appreciate it. Tons of vanilla. The cherry. Good amount of oak here too. A little bit of oak. I believe that the barrel proofs are usually in that 7 to 8 to 9 year range normally. I actually think the single barrels actually come off a little bit older, actually. Yeah, it's got a little bit of like that nice barrel, like rickhouse scent that, you know, when you walk into like Buffalo Trace and you could smell the sweet mash and the barrels. Thank you kindly. Yes, it is a fresh cut. Got a fresh cut today. All right. Let's go for a sip. Here we go, guys. Oh, felt every bit of that one. Oh, nice. Ooh. That one kind of lit up the palate a little bit, especially coming off the other ones. Let's go for another sip here. This might be the first time I'm getting a little bit more like barrel char on this and smoke a little bit. It's still very sweet. It's keeping that beautiful Colonel Taylor, that apple, that cinnamon. But on the back end, there's a nice little barrel char kick that's beautiful. Will Henderson, the Mash and Drum, I've heard the small batch is getting younger, probably to feed the single barrel program. I think that's what we're seeing across most of the Buffalo Trace products. I think we've already seen Blanton's get younger. I think the rest of the lineup is getting younger too. We just really haven't heard about it too much. To not only feed single barrel programs, but to also feed demand. So Damian Sanchez, thanks for sharing this monster ball with us tonight. Absolutely, Damian. Thanks for tuning in, man. Yeah, the shitty thing about this bottle is it's so upcharged in price, which really sucks. But honestly, man, I have to kind of like let this like settle on my palate because it's like really it's kind of like the darkest one I've had. Let me go for another sip here. It's got better. It's getting better. Got a little hint of like a cocoa powder note there on the back end. It's still a lot of that fried dough, apple, cinnamon, fritter flavor. A little bit more oak here, which I'm liking because normally, now again, this is a first pour. Could open up. It could get sweeter over time, like a lot of Buffalo Trace products do. Let's do a little comparison here. So I got. Let me grab. Which Stag Junior is this? That's not the right one. All right, Stag Junior batch 15. Let's get that one in the glass. And I also pulled out one of my favorite Colonel Taylor batches ever, the old 2018. This is a 2018 version. Coming in at 129.7, only a couple proof points higher than the 2021 version here. I love the 2018. Obviously, I have to kill this really soon. Maybe I'll kill it tonight. Maybe I'll drink this while I'm watching the Madness after this. So let's see how these compare here. I know, Sugar Kitty. Wow, Stag Junior compared to Colonel Taylor, barrel proof. The Stag Junior is so much more candy. It's just so like sweet. Like the Colonel Taylor has some powdered sugar in it, but this is like has powdered sugar, regular sugar, brown sugar, and candy coating sugar, candy coating sugar all over it. It's so freaking sweet. I mean, strawberry, cherry, Starburst, Skittles. You know, and I've said that before about Stag Junior. I think that's why people love it. It's just so sweet. It's like the perfect fat kid whiskey. It really is. Colonel Taylor, at least the 2021, it's just coming off a little bit more balanced and refined. Now, I'm not saying it's a world beater, because I don't think, you know, like I said, I think I don't think there's like a lot of age in this at all. But I'm loving the sweet flavors. And again, it's not just apple pie, cinnamon fritter here. You're getting a nice balance of oak here on the back end, which is nice. Let's see. Stag Junior has all the sweet notes you could find in a bourbon, and it's hot as hell. Some are hotter than others. I think the 15 does a nice job of, you know, drinking a little bit easier than some of the other Stag Junior batches. Would you almost recommend it to children? Maybe if kids were allowed to drink whiskey, that would be the first one I'd give them. Here, it tastes like Fun Dip. All right, now the 2018 Colonel Taylor. They're pretty similar. Obviously, this one's had a lot of air in it, so it's not as robust as this one. Let's go for a sip of this one here. Yeah, the 2018, as good as it is, it's more sweet. It's just more candy, more apple, more cinnamon. Not a lot of depth to that one. Stag Junior, batch 15 here. Way more candy. Getting some nice oak on 15 too. I think oak was a nice balance as well, but definitely more on the candy side. The Colonel Taylor barrel proof. There's some decent oak in here, and I'm only picking that up because I'm getting a slight bitterness on the very back end of this. I don't think I've ever gotten that on a Colonel Taylor barrel proof before. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever gotten like a little bitter note at all. Let's go for another sip here. I didn't taste it on that one. So this is kind of everything you love about Colonel Taylor barrel proof. It's got the apple, the cinnamon, the fried dough, powdered sugar, but with a nice little lift of oak in the background, which for the most part, actually, do I have another glass down here? Let me compare it to last year's. I'm going to compare it to the 2020 version here. See how we do. I want to see if I'm crazy in thinking this or not. Let me pour that in here. Since we're sharing Colonel Taylor's here. So this one comes in at 129.3. So still a little bit a tick higher than the 2021. I didn't fall down, I promise. Getting lit tonight, huh? No, I feel fine, actually. It's all in moderation, bud. Actually, I haven't had some water in a while, so thanks for reminding me. All right. So let's compare. So overall here, you have the Colonel Taylor versus Stag Junior. Stag Junior, it just comes off way more candy than Colonel Taylor does. At least batch 15 does. At least batch 15. Just more Skittles, more Starburst, more fruits, good amount of oak, a lot of sugar. Well, now when it comes to the Colonel Taylors, I mean, the nose is close to last year. Again, what did I say before we started this, guys? Colonel Taylor barrel proofs are usually pretty consistent. They really are. I never thought it was an amazing bourbon, but I thought it's one of those bourbons where if you could find it for a decent price, it's definitely worth the pickup if you're into buying barrel proof bourbons. So last year's leans a little bit more cherry apple. But again, not getting that nice kick of oak I'm getting on the 2021. I don't know if there's a little bit maybe older whiskey in the 2021, or maybe it's just the way it was aging. But 2021 Just has a little bit more balance here than I'm getting in the earlier versions. Yeah, again, as much as I like this, and I do really like this, this is not, please, it is not worth $400, $500 on secondary. This retails for about 90 to 100 bucks. And I really think that's what it's worth. There's maybe slight nuances between the batches, but for the most part, they are pretty consistent. So we got to try 3 different ones tonight: the 2021, the 2020, and the 2018. I didn't get a 2019, I don't think. I was lucky enough to get one of those, or I would have tried that one. But I will say the 2021 has a really nice balance to it this year. It's not too apple fritter forward. There's some oak presence to it. It's got a nice little more of a balance to it. I think it drinks really easy for its proof. Well, I don't know if you could go by that because I just had all these 130 proof bourbons. Jesus. Yeah, 600, 800 these days. That's nuts. It's nowhere near worth that. But I do like it this year. There's a very nice, like, oak, sweet oak balance to balance out the fried dough powdered sugar notes. Yep. It's good. It's really good. But like I said, do not pay. I wouldn't pay more than. I wouldn't pay more than $200 for that. It's good, but it doesn't. There's not a lot of nuance to it. There's no like layered flavors. Like even this at 95 proof has a lot more going on than this one does. The proof in this, obviously, I think, gives you a lot more of the flavors that you're looking for, but it's very 3-4 note. There's not a lot of depth there. Not like the same depth that you would get in a George T. Stag or even the Stag Junior, I think. Had a little bit more going on. But it just, again, Buffalo Trace is very sweet. It's very candy. You know what? Let's do this. Let me pour this one out. We'll do a last little comparison of the night before we send you guys off to Madness. So same mash bill. Let's compare it to George T. Stag. Which one is this? Nope, I don't want that one. Let's go with this one. So I grabbed the 116.9, but I'm going to go with the 124.9 proof, which is a little bit closer in proof here. Let's do a quick compare with the Stag. Now, Stag is much older. Stag, you're looking at 15 years, some months. Speaking of 95 proof, any thoughts on that Woodinville PX finish? I love the PX over the Oloroso. I'll tell you that, Joseph Brazers. The Oloroso was good, but the PX I think it just goes with the Woodinville really, really well, that flavor profile. Richie Z, cheers, buddy. Thanks so much for dropping that. Yeah, you can't even compare. The noses on these are miles apart. The George T. Stag has such rich, sweet, dense oak to it that the Colonel Taylor doesn't even come close. The Colonel Taylor is just bright. It's very apple. Usually when you get apple, at least in my experience, you get apple, that means there's usually a little bit of a younger whiskey in there. And I think that's the case here for the Colonel Taylor. But I will say there's a little bit more of an oak presence on here than I tasted in past batches. Do you know much about the older Booker's releases? I found a bottle of Booker's batch C7B7 in my old man's apartment. Worth a crack. Absolutely. The older Booker's, it actually should be an older whiskey than we're seeing now, I think. I think those are about 7 to 8 years old rather than the 6 years that we see now. So definitely worth a crack. Hey, Bourbon Apprentice is in the house. I mean, if you're going to spend the money on secondary, get a Buffalo Trace product, you go after Stagg. You go after George T. Stagg or William & Weller. All the others, Eagle Rare 17, Mahandy, Sazerac 18, you could push those to the side. You want Stagg, you want William & Weller. I know some people have said, hey, why do you not have an E.H. Taylor barrel proof version? Or why is E.H. Taylor barrel proof not in the Buffalo Trace Antique collection? Well, because you already have Stagg. It's the same damn mash bill. So you don't need it. Yeah, Stagg brings the oak, the sweetness, the cherry, the flat, like the Coca-Cola syrup to it. I got to tell you, though, the Colonel Taylor barrel proof, compared to the other ones in the past few years, this one stands out. I will say that. I love the punch of oak and richer caramel that you're getting in here compared to the other ones that was more just like fried dough, apple, fritter, cinnamon type of flavors. This one just seems to be a little bit richer in flavor profile, and I'm digging it. I'm digging that one. Again, for this one, I would not pay more. I still don't think it's layered enough to warrant that secondary pricing. I think with secondary for anything Buffalo Trace, and especially Colonel Taylor barrel proof, you're paying for rarity and you're paying for the fact that it's Buffalo Trace. The juice inside is really good, but it's still not worth that type of upcharge. There's more layered bourbons out there for way cheaper, including the Blue Note 17, including even some of the Elijah Craig barrel proofs have some more layered flavors than this does. So just keep that in mind before you go crazy trying to hunt this one or overpay for it. Any update on that Wilderness Trail rye pick? No update yet. So for those of you guys that are following the barrel picks that we have coming out for the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, I'll drop the ticker here. So the Woodinville cast strengths have already dropped. Those were the Iceman and the Maverick that dropped a couple weeks ago. Those are all gone. They all sold out. So thank you so much for that. We have the Old Elk Wheated Bourbon and Wheated Whiskey that are coming out soon. We just picked a Peerless Bourbon and Rye. Both of them are phenomenal. Cannot wait for those to hit the market. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is coming in more towards the later end of the year. What else? We have we're picking the 2 Driftless Glens tomorrow, Bourbon and Rye. We have the Ezra and the Rebel from Lux Row Distillers coming out. That's probably going to see that pretty soon. What else? We're going to be picking the Westland American Single Malt pick. So we have a choice of 4 guys. So what we're going to be doing is picking between a wine finished American Single Malt, red wine, tequila finished American Single Malt. One is a maple cask finish. Now, not maple syrup, but maple wood cask finish. And the 4th is a new virgin American oak. So it's basically a new bourbon barrel that we're going to be tasting as well. So we're going to have to choose from one of those 4 as our pick for the Westland American Single Malt. But yeah, we're picking a lot of really great. All of the picks that we've done are pretty unique from different areas. So we're really excited. And the Wilderness Trail, of course, we don't know when that's coming out. But that Wilderness Trail rye, I shit you guys not. When that thing comes out, I'm buying 100 of them because they're so damn good. Not 100. I got to leave some for you guys. I'm just going to keep sipping this Stag. All right, guys, so let's recap it. Pursuit United, batch 2, 65 bucks. Great blend, a little bit more on the cocoa side, a little bit more on the, honey and some gingerbread as well. No, I didn't get gingerbread on this one. What was the main flavor I got? I think it was cocoa, yeah. It wasn't as sweet or citrusy as number 1 was. The nose. The nose actually reminded me of like a sweet, like vanilla cookie. So 65 bucks if you're into blends. It's a great blend. I could see if you don't want to spend the $65 on this, but it is a very good blend. Blue Run 14 year. I paid $250 for this. I'm sorry I paid $250 for this. This is not a $250 bourbon. I don't give a shit what anyone says. It's good. It's a very layered, multifaceted bourbon. There's a lot of different flavors in there, but there's not enough flavor punch to warrant the price point on this. I've had better bourbons at cheaper than this year. It's a great blend, but other than that, this is not a $250 bourbon in my opinion. There's nothing gross about it. It's actually really delicious, but not delicious enough in a way that I would want to pay $250 for another one of those. So that's that one. And finally, the Colonel Taylor Barrel Proof, probably the more balanced one that I've had in the last few years. This one has everything you kind of need when it comes to sweetness, everything you expect from a Colonel Taylor. And it also has this nice little punch of caramel and oak on the very back end that balances with that apple sugary sweetness, powdered sugar, cinnamon. So I'm curious to see how this is going to open up. I'll probably do a full review once this gets a little bit down the shoulder and really see how the flavors open up. But yeah, probably wouldn't pay more. Now, it is Buffalo Trace. It is allocated. It's hard to find. So you tend to pay more for these anyway. I probably wouldn't go higher than $200 for this. It is a damn good bourbon, but not layered enough to warrant the $800, $900 prices that people are asking for it. So just keep that in mind. I know a lot of you guys out there probably want to have one of these in your collection, and I get that part of it. But if you're a drinker and not just a collector, this is not an $800, $900 bourbon. So I would say it's retail $100, not pay over $200 for this if you can. I know that's easier said than done, especially when we start getting into FOMO and you want to be able to collect that and put it on your shelf. But yeah. Let's see here. Great stream tonight. What's on the shelf Wednesday is just Wilderness Trail Rye for a year. What's on the shelf Wednesday is just Wilderness Trail Rye for a year. Okay. Man, some good picks coming up. Yep. Michelle Martin, love that you call it like you see it. Cheers. Thank you, Michelle. Good to know. I'll pass on the Blue Run. Yep. The Blue Note 17. This is worth it all day long. Remember, guys, this is Dickel without the Lincoln County process. So you don't get any of the minerality. And that's why I couldn't get it when I reviewed it. Blue Note had messaged me. They said there's no Lincoln County process in this. It's a high corn content, so it's just all butter, ice cream, fruit, and deliciousness. This is one of I would take this over this. I would take the Blue Note 17 over the Colonel Taylor and over the Blue Run any day of the week. So that's the wrap up. Go on over to Matt's Madness. It's time. It's Grease versus Kyle over at Bourbon Blind. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Had over 400 viewers tonight. This was a lot of fun. Let's see here. Yep, let's go Mets. Absolutely. Great review. You could donate your E.H. Taylor to your local fire department. Just tell them to give it to me. Says Adam Hinton. Can you compare your 4-gate versus batch 13 sometime in the future? Absolutely. I could do that. For sure. System Trend, Jason, I love you. I love you too, man. All right, guys. Blue Note versus Russell Reserve 13. That will be a good head-to-head. Maybe we'll do that on the next podcast or the next live stream. All right, guys. Bets on number of mutes for Grease. I'm expecting a good amount. So go head on over to Matt's Madness. Thanks for joining in. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey. It's the people you share it with. Cheers. And I will see you next time right here on the Master and Drum. Good night, guys, and I will see you over at Matt Madness. Take care, everybody.